All right, boys and girls, welcome back to the drive-through. Whoa, what just happened? For another version of the drive-through sponsored by the deli. Hungry, stop by the deli, get yourself a bagel. All right, here we go. So, this is not able to be done in your calculator. It's one of the few things on the quiz on Monday that you have to do by hand, okay? I know we've gone over this, and some of you are probably like, I know how to do this, which is great, but I don't think everyone's in that stage. The vertex corresponds with what letters? H and K, very good. And then the point is X and Y, okay? Now, I mean, that's not to say that this isn't also X and Y, but these are the letters they correspond with in this equation. I hope you guys know this equation because you need to. What comes next? Squared plus K, good, okay? Now, essentially, what you're doing here, because I didn't put out the directions, but it says find the equation and then graph it. Okay? We got to find A so that we can find the equation. So you get Y is 1, A we don't know, X is 4, H is 3, and K is -5. So I literally just substituted everything in. Okay? Now just write it out. There's plenty of places you can make mistakes here. So write it out so you get partial credit. Okay, add 5, square that. You get 1 equals A minus 5. Because 1 squared is 1. Does that make sense? I'll put a 1 there. Add 5 to both sides. You get 6 equals 1A. So A is 6. So why did we do that? Because we wanted to know the equation. So now what you do, and this is the weird part, you plug back in the vertex, but you don't plug in the point because the equation contains y's and x's. So you say y equals 6, because 6 is our A, times x minus 3 squared minus 5, okay? Now I can graph that thing. So y equals, clear this out, 6 times x minus 3 squared minus 5. Graph it. Okay, now, this is my new thing to teach you today. My window is totally messed up. I could go in and change my window, but what I'm just going to do is hit zoom 6. That fixes it. Zoom 6 was that. It just is the fastest way to get back to a normal window setting. Okay? So now I know my vertex is right there. Again, I'll go to my table. Again, my table is messed up. So I go to my table settings. I'm just going to start it at 0. And I'm going to change it by 1. I'm going back to my table. Now it makes sense. Okay, so once again, can you find the symmetry here? There's a 1, there's a 1, there's a 19, there's a 19, there's a 49, there's a 49. And then there's this point. It's all by itself. It's lonely. So what is that point? That's the vertex. 3, -5. Okay, and then 4, 1, and 2, 1, and so here's, 2, 1, 2, 1. Come on now. 4, -5. So you got this skinny parabola as our graph, okay? Does that help? All right, now let's go on to one that you skipped. Now I want you to know, the algebra 2 by itself is totally pointless. The only reason you're learning this is so that you can go on and do other things. And this would be an example of other things. So, baseball, okay? We got to type this equation in. So y equals -0.01 x squared plus 1.22x plus 3. Graph it. Okay, now it looks like a line, but hopefully you know it's not a line. And maybe you can see that it's curving a little bit. So the problem with this is our window's messed up. It's not letting us see enough. So let's go to our window and let me go back to the graph real quick. It looks like we need to go higher and further to the right. Do you guys agree? So you go to your window and let's change our X max to 100. And let's change our Y max to 100. And we're not even going to change anything else. Let's see if that works. All right, now we got a better idea what this looks like. But it's not complete yet. So which one do I need to increase, my Y max or my X max? Correct. So I go to my window. Let's make my X max 150. Now look, here's like where I'm dead serious trying to be the best teacher I can for you guys. Maybe this starts to make a little sense now, because you guys understand baseball. First of all, nothing to the left of the axis makes any sense, because baseballs don't go underneath the ground, okay? And nothing to the right of this makes sense, because baseballs don't go to the ground. So I want you just to imagine the graph from here to here, okay? When you put in a 0 for X, you get a 3. Well, that means the pitch was 3 feet high. That's where the person hit it. And the book doesn't explain this to you. This is where we fail you. But instead of thinking about X as a variable, it really is just T. It's time. As you hit the ball, as time goes by, what does the ball do? It goes up, it goes up, it goes up. And then what stops it from going up? Gravity. And then it goes down and down and down. So don't think about this as X. Think about it as time. Okay? So now let me show you how to answer this question. What was the maximum height that the ball will reach? What is that on the parabola? What is that point called? That's the vertex. It's just asking you for the vertex. So I'm going to go to my table. Okay? And I'm going to have to really scroll. And I'm going to scroll until what? Exactly, Alex, until the highest point. See how it started to drop? So it's somewhere up here. Where do you see it? 61, 40.21. So what's the highest that the ball will reach? 40.21. See, you're not far away from understanding this stuff. And if you can understand this stuff, you can do physics. And if you can do physics, you can build bridges. That's true. Like, it's not that far off for you guys. Okay? I don't know if I want you guys building the bridges that I drive on, but yet. Maybe someday. Okay? All right, now, think about this, though. Let's go back to the graph. It's asking you, at what distance from the batter will the ball hit the ground? That seems like such an impossible thing for us to figure out. It's not. Where does the ball hit the ground? Right there. And what's the X value when the ball hits the ground? Well, I don't know, but what's the Y value? 0. So I go back to my table, and I'm sure there's a better way to do this, and there's probably math teachers out there that are like, oh, this guy does not even know how to use the proper functions of the TI-86. But look, just keep scrolling down until Y1 equals what? Exactly. Almost there. Okay, so now look, here's where I'm a little different than most teachers. It's somewhere in between 123 and somewhere in between 124 and 125, right? So like on your test, if you put 124.5, I'm going to be super pumped up that you got the question right. But in college, you're going to have to be more accurate than that. So here's what you would do. You go back to your window. Excuse me. You go back to your table setting. Right now, this delta table means it's changing by ones. Remember this? So we're going to change it. Let's go to 0.1. Okay? And let's go back to my table. All right, so we were up towards 124, so I just got to hold that button down. Getting there. Okay, so now I got a better idea. All right, so it's actually in between 124.4 and 124.5. So I'll just call it 124.45. And that's literally... Absolutely. You don't have to do anything. It's America. You can leave it blank. But if you want to get a good score and if you want to understand this stuff, then you need to be able to use the calculator. I could show you another way to do it, but you're going to hate that way too. So you could, by the way, just to clear this up, that means this ball traveled 124 feet. If you were playing at a stadium with a 100-foot fence, which is really short, it would have been a home run. Okay? Just to answer your question, because I love good questions, Haven. I could say, when is the height 0? So when is 0 equal to negative 0.01 x squared plus 1.22 x plus 3? Now my question to you would be, how do you solve an equation like this? You're going to hate this. X equals minus b plus or minus big square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, now, so since you didn't want to do all that work in your calculator, now you got to put in your calculator negative 1.22 plus or minus big square root of 0.01 squared minus 4 times 0.01, and you got to put this in your calculator right, times c, 3, all divided by 6. You could do it that way, but I legitimately think this is a better way to do it. And when you do it this way, I think you understand what you're doing, because you guys are good at working with tables. All right, I'll stop preaching. Have a good weekend. Make good decisions. Boom!